Hi, I'm Sarah and welcome to My Friend's Pets. On today's episode, we're going to be visiting my friend Jacob and learning all about reptiles. I'm really happy that you're able to be here today, so let's go together. Hi Jacob, welcome to My Friend's Pets. I'm so happy that I'm able to be here today. I'm so happy to learn about reptiles and all that fun stuff. These are my TV friends.
Hi.
What would you say your favorite part is about having a pet or owning an animal?
Oh goodness. Well, it depends. If you have them as babies, definitely watching them grow up and just watching them go from a little baby to a big adult, and you're like, look how big you've gotten. I've had you since you were this small.
Yeah.
And also, probably the responsibility aspect as well. It's cool knowing that you can take care of an animal that solely depends on you. And it's if you weren't there, that animal probably wouldn't survive. And so you're like, I'm your parent.
What would you say, what do you think it means to be a pet owner? What kind of things do you think it means to be a pet owner?
What it means to be a pet owner?
Yes.
Honestly, having a sense of maturity, because you are taking care of another living thing. Even though people don't like to make the comparison, animals and, say, kids are very similar. Mm-hmm. You have to feed them, you have to change them, you have to make sure that they're okay.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely that sense of maturity.
What kind of pet owner would you say that you are? I personally am an anxious pet owner, so I'm always like, you're sick. I gotta take you into the vet. What's happening? Why'd you sneeze?
What kind of pet owner?
Yeah.
I guess you could say more of a relaxed one.
Yeah.
Even though I make sure that all of my animals have proper husbandry, temperatures, food, feeding schedules, I'm still more of the, if you can get away with a little bit cheaper, because the fact is, having tanks can cost you upwards of $300.
Yes.
They're expensive. So if you can give them the same care requirements in something that is a little bit more affordable, why not?
Yeah, it gets very expensive. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what kind of pets do you own currently?
Currently,
yes.
I have crested geckos, I have a leopard gecko, I have western girdled lizards, tokay geckos, gargoyle geckos, I have tarantulas, I have a tegu, 2 cats. I have a lot.
Yeah, that's okay. What kind of drew you into having those type of pets? Because a lot of them are rare and exotic. Yeah. So what kind of drew you into that?
Frankly, I've always been a bit of a weird kid. And so I like weird. I like the things that not a lot of people have. And I've always had that passion towards reptiles and exotic animals than I have. Even though I love normal animals, I fostered for God knows how long. Yeah. I've always been more drawn to the weird and the ones that people have probably big misconceptions about.
Yeah.
Like snakes, for example. I don't know how many times I've heard someone when I was a kid say, oh, snakes are slimy. And I'm like, they're not, though. They're actually really soft. And I know that's really weird to describe snake as, but they're soft and they're definitely more of a silky almost than they are slimy. They actually have no slime to them.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I was the kid that was like, oh, they're slimy and gross. But when I held a snake for the first time, I was like, whoa, it's kind of shocking almost.
Yeah.
Out of all of your pets that you currently own, which one do you think is almost your favorite? I know that they're all special, but which one do you kind of like taking care of the most?
Probably my tegu.
Okay.
He is my dream animal. I've always wanted a tegu.
Yeah.
And so actually being able to have one, I'm like, you are just amazing. I walk by his tank every morning and baby talk him.
Okay. Yeah, it's there's always a little bit of a special one that's around, I find, with pet owners.
Always just that one that we don't like to say favorites, a little bit of a favorite.
Yeah. What is the newest animal that you've gotten? What's the newest one?
Well, we did just have babies actually hatch out on Canada Day, so July 1st. But newest that we've actually bought would be our Kenyan Samboas.
Okay. And what drew you to those ones?
They're weird. They look like little sock puppets. So you think of a snake and you see like this giant head and then like a really big body.
Yeah.
And females are bigger, but they look like an earthworm. They don't really have a neck. They don't really have much of a body. They look like one big string with two eyes on the top of their head.
Yeah.
And they just look really freaking derpy, and I love them.
What's your usual process on when you get a pet or like a new one? So do you like research and then contact like a breeder and then get them, or what's your usual process?
It honestly depends.
Yeah.
So I definitely do research before I get the animal.
Yeah.
You always need to know what they need to be, well, to live, what their enclosure, what they need to eat. And so I do my research first, and then I'll look pretty much anywhere. I mean, I'll be 100% honest with you. A lot of our animals are from Kijiji, where we've taken them from situations where weren't super ideal, but we've brought them into a home now where
like
they
a
are.
rehome,
a new home where they're being taken care of properly, and they're definitely have a lot better of a life. At least I would think so, from what I've seen. And so most of our animals do come from what guess you would consider them rescue situations, where we take them from other people. Well, not take them, we buy them. Don't get me wrong, we buy them.
No, yes.
But we'd make sure that they come into a home where they're going to have proper enclosures and proper husbandry. And after that, once we get the animal, we put them in a quarantine where they are not allowed to be around our other animals in case of parasites or other infections. We make sure that they're eating well before they actually get moved into their permanent enclosure, just to make sure that the animal is happy and healthy before they're actually put in their permanent home.
Yeah. What do you think draws you? Like you said that it's like they're weird and they're kind of thing. But is there anything that in like the taking care of process that you like a lot about reptiles?
I love the fact that they are mostly self-sustaining. Yeah. The one thing that about mammals I find is they're very needy. They always have to be there. And these guys, I love the fact that snakes, you feed once a week. Yeah. You do not have to feed them every single day. Yeah. And they poop probably, every couple of days, not even. Yeah. And so other than the spot cleaning and the feeding them once a week, they're just so, what I would consider on low maintenance. Mm-hmm. I may not be very old, but I'm rather busy. I've worked 2 jobs at once. I'm still going through school. Yep. And so having an animal that I'm able to take care of on, I guess you could consider it the down low, is a lot easier. Like with having cats, you're cleaning out a cat litter every single day, and you're feeding them every single day. And it gets a lot when you're trying to manage everything else. Yeah, no, I perfectly understand that. Speaking of crested geckos, since we are talking about it, what made you interested in getting crested geckos? Because I do want to talk a little bit more about them. Honestly, originally I had a lot of ball pythons. Yeah. And I found that they were just, I wanted the new and the freaky. Yeah. And I know that sounds actually kind of bad almost, but it's, crested geckos I find are so, one, low maintenance. They don't need heat lights. They don't need any sort of light actually, as long as you're giving them calcium. Yeah. They don't require much space, and other than misting them every single day and the occasional spot clean, they're so low maintenance. Yeah. And they're a lot easier to keep. They also climb on walls, and so, that's pretty cool. They have these little, I think they're called setae, are the hairs on the bottom of their toes, and so they can cling to pretty much any vertical surface. And I'm like, you can run up walls. My own little Spider-Man. Yeah. How do you normally interact with your reptiles? What's the normal way you do that? I love to take them out and handle them. I let them sit up on my shoulder. Some of them like to crawl up to the head. I don't know why. It's probably because it's the highest part of your body. Yes. Yeah. But mostly I just take them out and I let them jump from hand to hand. I let them explore a little bit, not too far because they are small and very squishy. Yeah. But yeah, I mostly just take them out and let them hop around. Yeah.
And as an experienced reptile owner, how important would you say handling is, normal handling, for somebody to own one?
It depends on the species.
Yes.
Crested geckos, I think it's fantastic if you take them out like every single day.
Yeah.
As long as they just haven't eaten, because, well, like any animal, if you pick them up after they've eaten, they probably won't feel too good.
Yeah.
But definitely handling them every day and having them out and giving them that social experience.
Yeah.
It's very important because I find a lot of crested geckos that haven't been socialized, they are really flighty.
Yes.
You pick them up and they're gone.
Yeah.
You cannot hold them.
Yeah. And I think like it's very important. Like I know with my animals, like I always try within limits of what they want and do. I always try to make sure that I handle them often because if there's ever an emergency and you need to pick them up, it's so important. And I think people don't realize that and then they get nervous around them and they don't. And then they're like, okay, it's just something that's in a tank the whole time.
Yeah, I find a lot of people have this huge misconception with reptiles is that they don't like to be handled. And I find that, frankly, sometimes very wrong.
Yeah.
Some of them do enjoy being out and handled. I find a lot of mine don't like to be held up in their enclosure a lot. And you just take them out and you let them hop around. Of course, it depends on the days. And like any living animal, they have days where they just want to be left alone.
Yes.
And you got to respect their boundaries when handling them.
Perfect, yeah. When did you make the decision to have a business with reptiles?
I had been planning it since probably 16.
Yeah.
But of course you have to be 18 to legally open a business. And so I waited until I was 18, then I legally opened my business. And so it's been a year now since it's been open. And I'm ecstatic.
Yeah, you're loving it.
Yes, well, reptiles, animals in general, are something I love to work with. As I've mentioned before, I fostered kittens, puppies, bigger dogs.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything. And so just working with animals was my calling.
And I know you got a show at the Reptile Expo that was recently here in Edmonton. Did you like that experience? What did you like about it?
I loved being able to talk to everyone.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I'm not a very social person.
Yeah.
I'm very introverted. I like to stay in my home. But once I was actually able to talk to specifically kids, like youth, being able to teach them about reptiles and what makes them interesting and all the different misconceptions that parents even might have.
Yes, yeah.
Especially with snakes, because everyone's like, oh, they can be aggressive. And I'm like, they are not. They are the sweetest little beings.
Yeah.
And I just like being able to show them that it's not what everyone says it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I've gone to the Reptile Expo before, and I definitely noticed just observing, like, kids are so much more just open to learning about it. Parents are usually the ones that are like, no way, I'm out. We've spoken to obviously a lot of people who have cats and dogs, very common household pets. And now reptiles are a little bit different. Now, do you feel like you form a bond with your animal? Like, do you feel that with a lot of your reptiles?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's hard to explain. It's like when you have a cat and you take that cat home, they create a bond with one particular person or multiple people sometimes. It's kind of the same with reptiles. You can tell there's a difference when you're holding them and when someone else is holding them.
Yes.
It's when someone else is holding them, they may be okay with it because they're used to the social aspect, but there's just something in them that you're like, they're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's because it's new scents, new people, new noises.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's kind of the same. I don't know how to explain it. It's really hard.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I enjoy the way like you said it, and it makes sense to me. Thank you so much for having us. I know I had fun, and I'm sure our TV friends had fun as well. I hope I can come back next time and learn a little bit more.
Of course. I thank you so much for being here.
Well, that was so much fun. I learned so much more than I ever thought I could about reptiles and about crested geckos. I'm so happy that you were able to be there too. I loved it when the crested gecko walked on my arm. It was so great, and it felt so funny. I hope that you're able to join me next time when we visit another one of my friends on My Friend's Pets. Bye for now.